back to a new episode of What the Fuck, because life hands up some really massive dirty laundry here. So we're going to take a look and see what we can find, and hopefully not repeat any of the things that people do in these posts, because that's the whole point, right? To learn from the idiots and not to do what they do. All right, so let's get right into it. I decided to just hop on here. Haven't really chosen anything yet. And pardon me if I'm like clearing my throat a lot, because I got a cold just in time for Christmas. That was Merry Christmas to me, right? That was pretty great. So yeah, try not to make fun of me. I bought my boyfriend a gift and epically failed. Pretty easy to do, I would say. I'm pretty sure that I've bought gifts for girlfriends in the past where they've been like, WTF, bro? This sucks. I don't like this gift. Okay, entitled Sister Opens Christmas Gift Early, then Demands New Christmas Gift for Family Party. Demands a new Christmas gift. That's cute. Uh-oh. Not safe for work. Am I the asshole for accusing my son-in-law of emotional incest and ruining Christmas? Wow. Okay. Oh, it's still ongoing too. Okay. Yep, we're going in this one. Deep dive into this massive nest of nuttery. This should be good. Okay. Am I the asshole for accusing my son-in-law of that? Trigger warnings. We never click on those. We like to get triggered in the moment, as I always say. A real authentic triggering of the mind and the psyche. All right. Original post was from December 19th, 2025. Wow, that was this year. Oops. Somebody is still burning from this whole situation. Oof. Okay, he writes, sorry for all the grammatical errors. I'm still pretty worked up. I, 24 female, have been with my husband, 26 male, for 4 years, married for 2. Everything is great between his family and I consider us all to be very close. Excluding my son-in-law. Oh, sister-in-law. Whoops. You know, I guess same difference now, right? They're probably excommunicated from the family. All right, so they write, excluding my sister-in-law, 22 female, not that I haven't tried to build a relationship with her, but I was warned by my husband the first time meeting her that she is very territorial of him, and she has definitely lived up to that. Yeah, that's immediately kind of weird. That we're all thinking the same thing, I think, right? That certain website you go to for certain what are you doing, step bro? And then this is exactly what just came to mind, except it's the sister-in-law. The dude waking up in the middle of the night with the sister-in-law standing in his room, staring at him, like just straight mad dogging him, looking at his dick. I don't know. I don't know. That's exactly what I thought of, though. Like the worst kind of, yeah, just kind of gross. Anyway, this territorial behavior has reared its head many times while we were dating. Some examples would be asking my husband to sleep in bed with her. Hold the train. Yep, totally caught it. Totally caught it. Or called it, rather. That right there. Can we say childhood trauma? Massive loaded daddy issues, perhaps. Maybe a little bit of a uncle action in the past there. Yikes. Wow. Yeah, that's that's it right there. I mean, I could just end the episode with this right here. Asking my husband to sleep in bed with her. Oh, on my first vacation with his family. Okay, hold up. They're married. Okay, they're married, yeah. They're fucking married. And the sister-in-law has the balls to say she wants the husband to sleep in bed with her on her first vacation with his family. What the fuck? That is batshit. That is crazy. Who does that? Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay. She continues, after my father-in-law said he got my husband and I a separate room. So the sister-in-law said she wants to sleep in the bed with them. Oh, what the fuck? Yeah, this is like, what the hell? Okay, so the father-in-law got them a separate room, but the sister-in-law says, hey, I could use some body heat. You know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, wink. Yeah, accusing. She goes on to write, accusing me of being a gold digger and grooming her brother. He's 2 years older than me. Sitting on his lap during our rehearsal dinner. The list could literally go on and on. Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, I think her. If that sister-in-law went to see a shrink, I'm sure the shrink would start drinking heavily of all the stuff that sister-in-law would tell a person. She goes on to write, I do want to preface by saying every time she steps out of line, my husband and my in-laws correct her. But when called out, she always blamed her PBD, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder. I don't know why I didn't know that. I should know that. I basically worked around people with this stuff for a year. Okay, but when she was called out, she always blamed her borderline personality disorder, and her horrible actions were always forgotten. I mean, how many people have you known to like I do stuff like that's out of line, like not cool, and then they immediately say, "Oh, it's my autism," or it's like, "Oh, I have bad social anxiety," or something like that. It's like, okay, like I understand that sometimes that happens, but when somebody makes that excuse every time they do something out of line, like you kind of have to stop and think, like that I think that's them just doing it and trying to backpedal and use their disability or whatever as an excuse to act out, and then when they fuck up or whatever, use it as an excuse. I know a few people right now that do that, and it's really hard to be friends with them, honestly, because yeah, they'll act like an asshole out of nowhere over nothing, and then it's like, well, I can't trust you to behave like a respectable human being towards me, so sorry. So it seems like that might be going on. And also partially the family is just turning a blind eye. They're like, oh, okay, we don't really want to deal with this elephant in the room, so we'll just push it back in the proverbial closet. I think that happens a lot. Anyways, so she goes on to write, but after her behavior at our wedding 2 years ago, where she basically sobbed the entire day and pretended to faint during our first dance. Okay. Pretended to faint during our first dance. Okay, all right. I do believe that would be attention-seeking behavior. Attention-seeking behavior. Classic. And she goes on saying, yes, we know she's pretending my mother-in-law called her out in front of everybody, and it was very embarrassing. I am sure it was. I can only imagine. Imagine getting caught faking passing out. It's as an adult, like, I don't know, to do it to get out of, like, maybe you're on like a really bad date and the guy's like super Edmund Kemper or Jeffrey Dahmer type of creepy, and maybe you have to fake passing out to get out of the date. Be like, oh, I had a medical situation, I passed out, I gotta go, thanks for the free drinks. That kind of stuff happens. I mean, I would do it if it meant me getting out of a weird situation, but at a wedding, yeah, okay, that's bizarre. She goes on to say, my husband had to have a talk with her and set some very firm boundaries. The family's been turning a blind eye to her actions for quite a while. It makes you wonder what she's been doing to the brother-in-law that he hasn't talked about. Like, now he's setting some firm boundaries just then after that happened at the wedding. And so that was 2 years ago. I mean, before he met this his now wife, it makes you wonder, like, yeah, what was she doing? She's like coming up behind him, like wrapping her, like hugging him from behind and being like, holding on tight and being like really creepy about it and like not letting him go for a really long time, when nobody else is home. Or like leaving him notes in his, dresser drawer where his boxes are, saying, oh, I'm thinking of you. Like, like, you have to wonder, like, what is she doing that nobody wants to talk about? Clearly her family is trying to brush all this under the rug. So you can only imagine what skeletons in the closet of her actions are, you know, very deep. So so ridiculous too. I can only imagine, like, yeah, I wish I could actually like talk to this guy and like find out what was going on and just let him spill the beans, you know, like have him come on with like a fake name, you know, and like remain anonymous, but just like spill all like the crazy stories and just the top tier nuttery that was going on with her, that sister-in-law. So she goes on to write, since that talk, she still calls and texts my husband daily. Daily. I'm thinking probably more than once daily. I'm thinking this is probably like multiple times daily. But has pretty much stayed away from me and has kept her outward dislike for me and public attention seeking to a minimum. That's good. Okay. That brings us to tonight. Cue ominous music. My in-laws always host a huge Christmas gathering the week before Christmas for all the family, including distant relatives. Oh boy, this should be good. The entire clan at one spot, and then the sister-in-law is going to pull some absolute batshit stunt, I bet. I haven't read this, so I don't know. We're going to see. We have always had a great time, and I've managed to stay cordial with the sister-in-law despite the dirty looks she was shooting at me. She's probably, the entire time, that sister-in-law is probably just like, I'm going to kill you in your sleep. You're going to die. Probably the entire time. Like, I bet you anything. The wife is probably sitting there, eyes straight forward at the dinner table, and I bet she was probably the unlucky soul to have to sit next to the sister-in-law, because you know it's always that way, right? When there's always some like top tier horseshit situation in a family going on, you always end up sitting next to the person causing the problem that you really dislike, and that has beef with you. You know, always seems to happen. So I bet you, yeah, she's probably at the dinner table, like had to sit right next to that lady, and the entire time under the table, the sister-in-law is like trying to stab the wife in the leg with a fork or something, you know. And that's what I imagine happening at the dinner table during this huge get-together. But all right, so she goes on to write, despite the dirty look she was shooting me, but this year is different. Okay, so we announced that we were 10 weeks pregnant. My sister-in-law threw a fit, ran out of the room loudly sobbing, and slammed her bedroom door, leaving what was supposed to be a happy time dead silent with a few awkward congratulations. Yeah, I think awkward is an understatement there. Awkward. My mother-in-law rolled her eyes and went to follow her, but I stopped her and told her that I could go. I was hoping that this would finally be a time where we could actually have a conversation. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think homegirl is down with conversations. I don't think her level of communication is on a maturity level above 12 years old mentally, emotionally. She might be batting around 8 years old at this point with emotional maturity. I don't know. This is like, that's like mental illness, probably. Unchecked mental illness. Probably, maybe. She goes on to write, and maybe I could get her to finally tell me about, after 4 years, why she felt like I was such a threat. I was wrong. Shocker. I knocked on the door and went in, and she immediately screamed at me to get out, but I asked if we could talk. She goes on to say, I honestly didn't even know what I was going to say to her, but I didn't have to say anything because my husband and mother-in-law came in behind me. Probably a good thing, because the sister-in-law sounds like someone who'd hide a blade, maybe a tomahawk under her pillow, to render this wife lifeless when she came to the bedroom. That's what I imagine. She goes on, my husband very harshly asked her why she always had to ruin things to get attention. That's been his stance the entire time. Not that she has an unhealthy attachment to him, but that she has a constant need for attention. I don't think I agree with that. She obviously has an unhealthy attachment to him. Like, I don't know how she could write this sentence here, because like we've only spent like 10 minutes on this, and like it's very obvious she's got a thing for the husband, like some sort of weird unhealthy bond, if you want to call it that. Don't even know. Definitely some unchecked emotional damage from her childhood or something. I don't want to guess, but that's my guess. She asked him why he was so disgusting, which obviously left him confused. She asked him why he was so disgusting. What kind of... That is quite the leading question after throwing a hissy fit about him and his wife expecting a baby. Why are you so disgusting? What the H? What the actual hell? Okay. Then she yelled, "You fuck her, it's disgusting." What the hell is going on? You fuck her, it's disgusting. You imagine you have a sister-in-law. You go into, give her a hug and try to comfort her after she's in the wrong for throwing a fit. And this is what she says to your husband. You're disgusting. You fuck her. You fuck her. My husband, being his usual snarky self, said, "Yeah, sometimes multiple times a day." Sometimes multiple times a day. She's my wife. What's your point? Very good. High five to that, bro. Very well played. My mother-in-law laughed, and that sent her into a rage. The sister-in-law, I assume. She started screaming and hitting him like a freaking toddler. See, there's that. Yep. I'm telling you, there's something emotionally stunted going on there. By this point, I'd had enough. I can't even remember what all I had said. Only that the only thing that was disgusting was her emotionally incestuous fixation with her brother, and asked if she wanted to fuck him because it kind of seemed like she did. Yeah. I would say it's very obvious that she does. I realized I was screaming by the end of it. So the rest of the family, the entire extended family is in the other room as the wife is screaming at the top of her lungs. Maybe you want to go fuck him. Like, isn't that what you want to do, sister-in-law? You want to fuck him, don't you? It's like super loud. And the rest of the people in the dining room are just like awkwardly like glancing around like, what the hell is going on? I can only imagine what those people were thinking as they're like overhearing this being yelled from the bedroom. That is monumentally hilarious. She goes on to say, sister-in-law just covered her head with a blanket and cried. She's going to her happy place. Well, not so happy, actually. She's going to her weeping and gnashing of teeth. My husband tried to uncover her, but mother-in-law took my husband and I downstairs. When we got down there, pretty much everyone was leaving. Yeah. After hearing her screaming, "Do you want to fuck him? You want to fuck him, don't you?" That would be my cue to say, I need to have a proper drink at the bar. See ya. This family event is fucked. So she goes on. When we got down there, pretty much everyone was leaving, and father-in-law looked like he could punch someone. So my husband and I left too. Yep. I'm pretty sure he felt that very intensely. I cried pretty much all the way home, with my husband trying his hardest to assure me I did nothing wrong. When we got home, he told me to go to sleep and went out to the garage while he called his parents. I feel bad because I truly do love my in-laws and don't want to ruin our relationship. Now I'm lying here questioning if I spoke out of turn, implying that it was more than just attention seeking. No, I think she was correct in saying that it was more than attention seeking. It's pretty odd. Okay, some comments to to what she had wrote. Commenter number 1, not the asshole. You just said out loud what your husband should say from the beginning. I know he spoke to her for what she did in your wedding, but what about all the other things? Exactly. What about all those things that he didn't bring up? The family brushed under the rug. I'm thinking she probably, at one point in time, maybe let her hand slip a little too close up his thigh at the dinner table, or something naughty. I hate to imply it, but that shit happens. They say, all the things she said about you sitting on his lap, really? That's disgusting. Congratulations on your pregnancy. She writes back, he has addressed the overly touchy thing and talked to her many times about embarrassing him and looking weird, which she blamed on being manic. Well, there it is. After the wedding, he educated himself on bipolar disorder and realized that's not how it works. Ha! Called it. Yeah, see, she's just using that as an excuse to act out, right? To cover her fuck-ups. But more or less just using it as an excuse to like grope the dude, you know? Yeah. That pretty much says it all right there. Goes on to say, and physically distanced himself from her, but stayed in contact over the phone. Yeah, that's just, yeah, unfortunately, that's just, there's really no easy way around that one. You really have, he would have to pretty much, not really disown her, but like, he wouldn't really, he couldn't really be around her, you know, and like have a normal functional relationship, unfortunately. Like, your only option is to basically like cut them out of your life, you know? Like, there's no other way around it. Otherwise, she's gonna end up jumping on his lap and like shoving her hand down his pants and be like, you know, oh, brother-in-law, let's yeah, I think I'll stop right there. Commenter number 2, not the asshole. Her behavior is abnormal. Yeah. You think? I think you should leave that alone in the future, though. Your reaction was warranted but unhealthy for you. It's not unhealthy. I mean, obviously she had some pent-up rage about it. Just not the best time to scream, you want to fuck him, don't you? Yeah. The timing on that was a little off. After years of it, I'm shocked you didn't call her out sooner. Hormones do that to you, though. Her family needs to intervene and seek therapy for her. Yes, definitely. Highly recommend staying away from her. And never allow her near that child. Holy shit, yes. Definitely. That because I can see that. I can see her, that sister-in-law, ending up on the 5 o'clock news with a mugshot for doing something horrible to that child. Yeah. She writes, your husband and in-laws are awesome though. Minus your sister-in-law. No shit. She responds, you don't have to worry, I will never breathe the same air as her again. Okay, update number 1, December 19th, that's the same day, hours later. She writes, I just wanted to hop on here and say that my husband just got off the phone with his parents and they're extremely mad at the sister-in-law. Good, they should be, right? He asked me if I seriously thought she thought of him in that way, sexually, and this all stemmed from jealousy. Apparently, father-in-law has thought the same thing since an incident happened last year where me and mother-in-law were talking about lingerie and the sister-in-law locked herself upstairs the rest of the night, but he was trying to convince himself he was wrong. Yeah. They're talking about lingerie and the sister-in-law locks herself upstairs. Okay, I don't know. Pent-up sexual rage? I told my husband, I don't know if it was necessarily a physical attraction, but it is definitely jealousy. It's definitely an emotional attachment. I'm not sure if it's sexual, but like, again, they brushed it under the rug for way before she showed up as the wife. It's like, you have to wonder, like, something happened. Like, definitely something went down at one point or another. Okay, and then she goes on to write, looks like all 4 of them are going to sit down tomorrow to have a conversation. I'll update again after that happens. For now, all is good and nobody thinks that I ruined Christmas. LOL. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and stop the part 1 of this episode here. It's going to get really long because there's a lot going on here already. I haven't read ahead. I don't know what's going to happen, but Lord knows it's already a steaming pile of what the fuck, and I'm sure it won't disappoint. All right, see you guys next time.